Hey, what's up everybody? This is Tim from Arm Wrestling Secrets, and I wanted to talk today about overtraining in arm wrestling and what you can do about that. Okay, so just a brief kind of discussion. I think everybody in arm wrestling, or all of you people who take arm wrestling pretty seriously and you arm wrestle a lot, you run into massive overtraining. Okay, so here's what I want to talk about that. And this is after a lot of years of experience in arm wrestling, weightlifting, and a lot of overtraining. And I know exactly what you mean. Okay, so here's the issue, right? You're trying to get better at arm wrestling, so you arm wrestle a lot. You're trying to get stronger at the same time, so you lift weights a lot. Between the arm wrestling and the weightlifting, your arms are getting worked over and over and over, and there's no recovery time. You're always sore, right? You're always sore. You're either your elbows, especially elbows, muscles around the forearms, wrists, chronic injuries, tendonitis, that kind of stuff, especially on the inside and the outside of the elbows. That's where I had a majority of my problems, but it doesn't matter. Wherever you're getting a lot of chronic inflammation, okay, it's a overtraining more than likely. Okay, so if you're in arm wrestling and you're feeling like you're overtrained, you are. Okay, okay. So there's no secret there. Okay, so here's what to do about it, and this is something I learned a long time ago, and I think you're going to find this very, very interesting. Okay, when it comes to arm wrestling and overtraining, okay, because it's a massive problem. And I realized what some of the great pros are doing about it. And I'm not talking about the ones that have just extreme genetic skill, like John Brzenk, guys like that. You notice a guy like John Brzenk, and I brought him up yesterday in a video, is he doesn't necessarily do much training in the gym. He doesn't do a lot of weightlifting. He does a lot of training just on the table, and he's a big believer in that. And I get it, but he's extraordinarily gifted. He's extraordinarily naturally strong. He's been weightlifting since he was extremely small, young person, okay? He's not you, okay? He's different. He's a little bit different. So in terms of his overtraining or things like that, or Devin Larratt's training, the amount of training that guy does, he is the world champion. Okay, you got to understand that. He's one of the best arm wrestlers in the world. He's one of the best arm wrestlers in the history of the sport of arm wrestling that goes back a long, long way. He is able to train at levels and volumes you are not able to train at. He's had to work up to that over years and years and years and years and years of dedicated training. If you look at what he's doing and you try to mimic that and you try to train as much as he does, weightlifting and then hitting the table, weightlifting, hitting the table, with the idea that that's going to make you the world champion, you're just going to end up with some really, really, really sore arms, and you'll probably never be in condition to really compete. Okay, that's my honest opinion. So here's the point of the video, and I want to make this fairly quick. Okay, it's this. At some point, I realized something about arm wrestling. I realized you can focus on your technique and all your table time, and you can make your arms really sore there. Fine, okay? That's an effective way of training. Or you can focus on getting extremely strong in the movements that you're using on the table by doing really good off-table strength training that you can apply when you get to the table. Now, there's one interesting point about that, and this is the whole thing. It's experience level, okay? At some point, I got to the point where I didn't need to train with a team anymore. Now, that's going to come to a surprise to some of you. Some of you are going to totally disagree. That's perfectly fine. Everyone's got their own opinion. Everyone's got their own training strategies, okay? My table time decreased quite a bit when I realized I was missing vital strengths in certain areas, like pronation and my hooking strength and my radial flexion strength, some of my finger strength, some of my grip, some of those things. When I realized those weren't strong enough and I was spending time on the table when I could have been spending time strengthening those weaknesses, which were causing me to lose at the table, it made a huge difference. At some point, especially after arm wrestling for several years, I knew what I was going to do at the arm wrestling table. It was a matter of applying it. And what I realized is I didn't have the strength to win some of the matches. I knew exactly what to do. My technique was good. My technique was perfect. My plan was good. I didn't have the strength to beat the opponent, okay? So if you go into the same, let's say you go into a hook with an opponent, you both are pretty skilled, you both know what to do, he's stronger than you are, you're gonna lose that hook match. You're going to lose that match unless you transition out, and that becomes a technical issue. But strength is a major part of arm wrestling, and anyone who tells you different is lying, okay? So my final point, just to kind of bring it all together, is that as you get further and further into arm wrestling, and I'll come back for beginners, okay? As you get further and further into arm wrestling, you're going to have to make a choice, okay? Lots of table time, less weightlifting, okay? If you feel like you're really strong enough, then you should probably focus on table time, okay? If you feel like your strength isn't high enough and you have pretty good technique on the table, you should lessen your table time by a big amount, or go a lot easier on the table and go a lot harder on the weights in order to strengthen up those body parts. And then when you come to the tournament, your body will be fresh and it won't be overused. You'll have all the strength you need and you'll know what to do technically. Now, if you're a beginner, okay, there's two schools of thought, okay? If you're already into arm wrestling, I'm not gonna tell you to just stop arm wrestling and go get strong and then come back, okay? But what I will say is you have to manage arm wrestling on the table with your weightlifting. And if you're not strong yet, I'm gonna tell you this, beginners, prioritize the weightlifting, but as it relates to arm wrestling, if you want to be a great arm wrestler, forget about just doing bench presses and overhead shoulder presses and leg press and calf raises and all the normal things you would do in the weight room. Those don't apply to arm wrestling. You got to work on pronation and forearm strength and hooking strength and a lot of muscles that you're not focusing on seeing bodybuilders do. Okay, you never see bodybuilders standing around doing pronation exercises, which is probably one of the most important things you could possibly do. Okay, so like I said, for beginners, I want you to focus on keeping up with your arm wrestling a little bit, keep up your technique, okay? But if you're going to arm wrestling tournaments and you're losing, okay, I would focus on getting really, really strong and then becoming pretty technical on the table, okay? For you guys whose technique is a lot better, okay, already, you need to focus on becoming strong in the meantime. Trying to do both, trying to arm wrestle on the table twice a week and get 4 or 5 workouts a week, as you probably notice, it's not gonna work and you're gonna end up with a lot of overtraining. Okay, so I'm gonna break down when I get the weights out and the table out a little bit later, I'm gonna break out my actual routine, how I think you can manage your weightlifting during the week and still get some table time, but I will break that down in another video. I hope this was helpful. Please subscribe if you haven't already and have a great day. I'll see you guys in the next one.